Hi there, in this video I'm going to talk through some of the key points of the kettlebell swing. First of all, I'm going to explain that if you're doing a lot of kettlebell swings or other kettlebell training, then it's really worth getting hold of some chalk if you can. You can either just get ordinary rock powder climbing chalk or the liquid form, which is a little bit more convenient and less messy. And what it does is it helps with grip as your hands get more sweaty and while you're still developing your grip strength. So you just put the liquid on and in a few seconds it evaporates and you've got nice chalky hands. So first thing to explain is that kettlebell swing is a hinge exercise. So that means it's different from a squat. Quite often if you're in the gym you see people doing kettlebell swing and it will look a bit like a squat or a cross between a hinge and a squat. So I'll just show you the difference. So as some of you will know, a squat pattern means that the knees and the hips are going to bend at the same time and you're sinking straight down, knees come forward, hips go back. Okay, and then if you contrast that with a hinge, what I like to use as a cue is imagine for the hinge that you've got kind of concrete knee boots on, which is going to prevent the shins from moving too much forward. They are going to move a little bit, but you're going to try and limit that so the knees and shins stay kind of in place and you just simply taking the hips back, which puts more load then onto the hamstrings. There's your hinge. And then just as a contrast again, there's a squat. So hopefully you can see the difference there. So you want your kettlebell swing to be resembling a hinge shape. So it's going to be working quite a few different things at the same time. The grip is being challenged, so forearms are involved with that, as well as obviously the hands. Your upper back is needing to maintain a tight position as well. The core is going to stabilise you throughout, and you can actually do a kettlebell swing with two hands or with one hand at a time. And if you using just one hand, it's also an anti-rotational exercise because your core will have to work extra hard on one side to stabilise you. And then the glutes and the hamstrings are providing the power as you bring the hips forward to close the hinge. So I'll just demonstrate first of all in silence. One mistake that people do often make with kettlebell swing is they choose a kettlebell that's too light for them. So the way I was taught is you shouldn't really choose a weight that you find very easy to hold out in front of you, okay? Because what this is absolutely not, it's not an arm exercise where the arm is pulling the weight up, it's all the force is being generated by the hips and the glutes. So you actually want quite a heavy load that you're going to have to be forced to swing rather than pull up with the arms. Having said that, appreciate that a lot of us may only just have the one kettlebell to work with and we don't have the luxury of choosing the load. But something to think about is if you were going to buy yourself one and you got the lightest possible weight, then before too long you might find it's actually too light for you. So think about getting a medium weight. So I'm going to just start out with a 12 and then I'll show you with a 16 as well. You're going to take your feet a little bit wider than the hip, and like with the squat, your toes pointing just slightly outwards, perhaps about 10 degrees. And the key points are that you're going to be moving the kettlebell in a kind of quarter arc of a circle. So you want the ball of the bell to pass roughly between the knees, and that means that where the hands are gripping the handle is going to need to come quite high between the thighs. So if it's too low down, then the ball itself is going to be too low down and we're not going to get that correct shape. You want to slightly protract the shoulders, the shoulder girdle, so just have them slightly pulled back and engaged. The lats here at the side of the back want to switch on and remain engaged throughout to help you maintain that shape so that the shoulders don't round forwards. And in fact, we don't want the kettlebell to be pulling us like this. We want the arms to be kind of relaxed and not doing too much effort. All the arms are really doing is preventing the kettlebell from flying away. So try and think about imagine like a ball on a chain, like the medieval weapon. So gravity is going to swing the ball around for us, and momentum, and the arms are actually going to be quite relaxed. And one way to make sure that we achieve that is to even keep a little soft bend in arms at all times. Okay, so I'll just show you what it looks like. I'm just going to start moving the hips to generate a little bit of momentum. Okay, so as soon as the kettlebell comes up to shoulder height, then gravity is going to pull it back down. As soon as we feel our wrist contact that high upper part of the thigh, that's then our cue to snap the hips forward. Nice and forcefully, nice and powerfully. So we're keeping full contact of the foot on the floor at all times. What we don't want to do is exaggerate either. We don't want to lean back. We're quite simply going between transition between two positions. One, we're going to be hinged with our chest facing down towards the floor, almost like we're trying to take a look at something. Oh, what's that down on the floor? That's the kind of position that we're going for. If we're not in this position, quite simply, all we're doing then is standing straight back up again. Nothing more to it than that. Leading with the head. Hinge, stand up straight. Hinge, stand up straight. And that is quite simply all there is to it. So that 12 is a little bit light for me. So I'll just show you again with the 16. And then I'll show you what the one-handed swing looks like. So here we are. As it gets heavier, the chalk is going to be more useful. So I'll give you a couple of angles. Okay, and then from the side. See how my knees are not travelling too far forward. There's a little bit of movement, but it's much more about taking the hips back and then just snapping the hips back forward. No exaggeration to the back. Soft bend in the arms. Shoulder blades staying lightly pinned back with the lat switched on. Okay. So again, a nice cardio challenge as well as the muscular endurance and the kind of power in that hinge pattern. All right, and then just to show you the one-handed version, here we're going to be, it's unilateral, it means one side at a time. So it's going to bring a little bit of extra challenge into the core to kind of prevent us from twisting and rotating. There will be a little bit of twisting and moving, but we're trying to minimize that as we swing. And there's just kind of one key cue for this one is about the hand position. So with the double-handed swing, obviously at all times both palms are facing the body. With the single-handed, I'll just show you with the small one here. As the hand goes back between the legs, you want to point the thumb backwards, and as it comes back through, we're almost going to make a little kind of a slight arc, so you end up with the thumb facing slightly forwards, palm sort of face down but a little bit off to the side, so it looks a bit like this. Probably actually can't see that well. All right, I'll just use the 12 again. And what I will also show you, you'll see me switch from side to side a couple of different ways. So we can switch hands at the front, takes a bit of practice, can work on that, and you can also switch hands using a figure of 8, which I've made a separate video for. So I'll quickly show you a few of those just in silence, and you can perhaps drill the transition from side to side. Just to get started with, absolutely fine to just do some reps, do your 10 reps one side, pop it down, switch hands, that's absolutely fine. And it's also, while you're working on one-handed swing, you know, start out doing a set with 2 hands, experiment taking one hand away, and do a few, put your hand back on, just so you get the confidence and strength to be working just single-handedly. Okay, so here we go. Starting with 2 hands, coming up to eye height or shoulder height, and go for 1 hand. So the other arm can just come out of the way. Everything else really similar. Just trying to keep that hinge pattern, trying to keep both shoulders roughly the same height. Then I'm switching at the front. Still coming nice and high between the thighs. There we go. Now I'm going to switch between the legs. Figure of 8. There we go, so change hands. So the thumb points back, thumb is the first part to go through, back forward. I'll show you that from the side as well. And yeah, it's very likely that you'll be able to use more weight for a 2-handed swing than for a 1-handed swing. That just makes sense. Okay. Other arm's just out to the side, out of the way. It's not too important what it's doing. Thumb leads. Arc it round. See how the kettlebell almost sort of hovers at that eye level before it starts its descent. Its gravity is doing the job there. So it's either gravity on the way down and on the way back up. It's all the glutes and the hips. I hope that's been helpful. Thank you and see you next time.